Okay, we're recording. Hi, everybody. It's your buddy here, Bruce from Stock Markets with Bruce. They call me Uncle Bruce. Listen, I see videos all the time on YouTube because I'm a YouTuber like most of you guys out there, and I love to look around and see what's being recommended to me by YouTube. What do they think I'd find interesting, and so on and so forth. And I see videos all the time that try to tell you how you can make money in the stock market and how you can make money in the options market. Sometimes the headlines are like "How I Made $25,000" or how you can make $50,000 a month, or it just goes on and on and on. All right, I thought, okay, I'm going to make one of these, but I'm going to make one of these that maybe you can relate to a little bit more, and I'm going to get even more technical than that. I'm going to talk to you about how you can make money in the stock market writing options, stock options. I'm going to talk to you about how you can write poor man covered call options, all in plain English. So hang in there. And I'm going to tell you how you can learn how to do this, write options, make money with no more than $10,000. And I'm then going to say, on top of all that, if you have $5,000, you can do it. And if you've got $3,000, you can do it. So does that interest more of you as the numbers come lower and lower? Because some of you are interested in writing options. Some of you are interested in these poor man covered call strategies, but you just don't want to hear about, don't tell me I need 100 grand, Bruce. I don't tell me I need $75,000 to start, because I'm terrified about writing an option. I don't want to blow it. I don't want to make a mistake. I just want to put my toe in the water, and I want to be sure I'm doing it right. And another thing, I'd kind of like to be conservative about it. So, okay, we've gone through all that. All right, first of all, I'm not going to tell you how to write. Well, I am going to tell you how to write poor man calls on this channel, this video, but I'm not going to say to you that by watching this video, you can now go out and do it. No, I'm not going to do that, because that's ridiculous. You have to have a handle on just what options are. I mean, a lot of you have heard about stock options. You understand the basic premise about options. A number of you may have bought and sold call options already on your phones and stuff, and you've tried playing them a little bit, or you've heard all the nightmare stories. And anyone you know that you think knows about the stock market just tells you to avoid options at all costs, because you're nuts if you're trying to play the options market. Fair enough. So here's the deal, okay? I'm going to tell you, look, if you've got 10 grand, which would be a decent number to start with, you're going to reserve about 2,000 of that money to learn how to do it. And the reason I say that is because I happen to have a website with classes, 14 classes on how options work and how you can write them, how you can do poor man covered calls and spreads and all the other technical stuff that's out there. And so when I say you have $10,000 to play with, 2 grand of that is actually for your education on how to do option writing, which means for the rest of your life, you have access to these classes whenever you want to rewatch them. There's 14 of them. Each one is an hour and a half to 2 hours long each. You will go to my website, and the website is right here at stockmarketswithbruce.ca. And you will then end up coming to the homepage, which is right here. And you'll see my mug up there. And then you're going to hit the link that says classes, and there it is right there. And then you'll see my picture again. And then you're going to go through lesson 1, 2 at your leisure. You can watch these all in a couple of days, or a couple of weeks, or a couple of months. 1, 2, 3, 4, all kinds of different strategies and mistakes people make, and put options and butterfly spreads, and how does Bruce pick his stocks. Here's number 11 and number 12. Look at those two. Using poor man covered call writing strategies to quit your day job, and stock options, rollover strategies, calls and puts. And then the last 2, stink offers, stink bids, and the psychology of the markets, and how to maximize profits from writing stock options. This is what you have to do. You've got to watch all 14, though. You really do. So I say before you start doing any option strategies, you take the 14 classes, maybe one a week, two a week, call it a college course, pretend that that's what it is, because that's what it is, because you're entering the world of the options market, which is a whole different world than you know about. Okay, so let's just say now you have 8,000 left over because you've gone ahead and said, Bruce, I'm going to take these option courses knowing that these classes are going to be with me for as long as I want to watch them. And I can use this for the rest of my life. This is an investment. So in the next 20 years, I'm 35 now. I'm going to be 55 at least by the time I'm done trading options. For the next 20 years, I'm going to call this a $100 a year investment, but I'm going to pay up front $2,000 to watch all these classes. And then, sir, I am going to write Poor Man Covered Calls like you promised in this video. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. You have $8,000 left over, okay? Now, theoretically, you could have had $5,000, put $2,000 into classes, and you got $3,000 left over. Or you could have put $3,000 together, watch the classes, and you've got $1,000 left over. You can do this with $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, any $1,000 increment all the way up. In the example I'm about to give you. Okay. All right. Bear with me. Bear with me. It'll all come together. All right. The stock that I'm using today is the stock we talk about on this channel, I and my viewers, every day that I'm on the air. And I'm on the air every Monday to Friday, 8:30 in the morning Eastern time. You can watch anytime you want. And we talk about a lot of different stocks, a lot of different option strategies and trades. But the one stock we talk about most often is GameStop. Why? Because GameStop was the stock we talked about first when I started going live every day, January 2021, which is now 2 years and 2+ months ago. So that's how long this has been. So it's been about the GameStop story, and I'm going to just talk about writing Poor Man Covered Calls on GameStop. Okay, so today's date, March 20, 2023. Are you still with me? Hang in there. Hang in. Today's date, March 20th, 2023. The stock about half an hour ago, just before we were closing, was sitting around 1650, maybe an hour ago, 1650. And I like that nice round number, and I'm going to stick to it. All right. I went into my options trades or option chain, I should say, to see what these options were trading at when the stock was about 1650 a share. So I could give you some examples of what you could do. All right. Now, if you're going to write call options on options, this is what Poor Man Covered call options are. But let me quickly surmise for you. You want to write a call option against stock you own. If you own 100 shares of GameStop, you can write one call option against the stock where you can pick the strike price that people can take the stock away from you at. They can buy them from you at for a certain period of time, and you'll bring in some money up front. So if you have 100 shares of GameStop, you buy at $16.50 a piece. You've got to pay $1,650 to buy 100 shares, and you can turn around and write a contract against those 100 shares. Now, I have picked contracts between July and September of this year. This is, again, March. And I wanted to bring in income. But if you do a Poor Man Covered call strategy, instead of buying the 100 shares for $1,650, you can buy what we call a deep in the money call option. In other words, you are a buyer of a call option that doesn't expire until January 2025. This is March 2023. You buy a call option until January 2025, and it is an $8 exercise call option. In other words, it gives you the right to buy 100 shares of the stock, GameStop, for $8 a share. And to get that contract, you got to cough up about $1,000. The quote on the contract, as I was looking at it, was $930 to $1025 bid ask. And I'm going to assume that you can buy that call option in the nines. And even if you have a $5 commission to get it or something like that, you're going to get this contract for less than $1,000. Now, here's the good news. The stock's $16.50. This is an $8 contract. So you can buy the stock for $8, even though it's trading at $16.50, but you paid $1,000 to get it. The call contract, the value of your contract actually is $850 because you can buy the stock at $8. The stock's at 16.5. You deduct $8 from $16.50, you get $850 a share times 100 shares. the contract is worth $850 book value, and you can buy it for probably $950 or something like that, which means in my calculations, this contract is almost all book value and very little time premium money. And that's what you want to be doing. You want to have a call that you own that is almost all book value versus any time value. This contract has 20 something months, 21 months to go before it expires. Has a long time to live. All right. You buy one, you buy five, you buy eight. It depends how much money you have. So the $10,000 example, yes, you kept 2,000s on the side for my classes. You have $8,000 left over. You can buy 8 of these. You only have $3,000. You got $2,000 for my classes, and you got $1,000 to buy one of these call options. All right. You now own either 1, 2, 3, 4, or up to 8 of these now. Okay. That gives you now the right to be able to sell call options against these call options. So if you own 8 of them, you can write 8 call options. And I took a look at call options that are out there for July, August, September, and I figured out why not write July $20 contracts. In other words, you will sell 8 call options you don't own. You are shorting them, you're creating them, and you're saying to the option market, hey, give me some money and you can have 8 contracts to buy from me 800 shares of GameStop at $20 a share. Right now, it's only at $16.50, but I'll give you until July 2023, and this is March, so that's April, May, June, July. I'll give you 4 months, and you can buy off of me 800 shares of GameStop at $20 a share. And if they go to 25 between now and July, you're a happy duck because your contracts are worth $5 each times 8 contracts. $5 a contract is equal to $500 a contract. It's $5 a share. You've got $4,000 worth of contracts, 500 times 8. What's the cost? Right now, the market for these calls, we're in the $2.11 to $2.35 or 36-cent neighborhood. I'm assuming you can sell these for about $2.35. And looking at the way the market closed today, you definitely would have gotten $2.35 a contract. If you got $2.35 per contract, that is $2.35 per share times 100 shares, or just $235 times 8 contracts. My math, I believe, is correct, is $1,880. You will be paid $1,880 in cash right now if you offer your stock for sale for $20 a share until July of this year. Expiry date is July the 21st. You're sitting there going, Bruce, you don't have any stock. How can you do that? I happen to have the answer. I have 8 deep in the money calls, and I can buy 800 shares at $8 each. And I can then deliver 800 shares to the buyer at $20 each. And that's the difference. That's where I make my money. Here's how this would all work, however. So you had $10,000. You kept $2,000 aside for my classes. Good on you. You watched them all. Good on you. Now you know what you're doing. You have a better handle on what you're doing. You bought 8 deep in the money calls for $8 strike price for January 2025. You wrote 8 July contracts to bring in $1,880 at $20 a piece. And now what do? You assume the position. What's the position? It's right here. You cross your arms and relax, and you let time go by because this is March. And your objective in life, all you're looking for, is will the shares stay under $20 a share between now and July? As each day passes in time and the shares stay under $20 a share, these contracts will lose 1 day of lifetime. They expire July 21st. That's when the deal is up. There's no more extensions after July 21 on this arranged contract you sold. The ones you own, those 8 deep in the money calls, they're good until January 2025. You got till forever to worry about those. So let's just say theoretically make this simple. The shares fluctuate in price like they always do. Any stock would fluctuate. But for some reason, GameStop just can't get going over 20 bucks a share. It gets to 19 and a half and then back to 17 and it goes to 18 and 3/4 and it goes to 16 and a half. And it fluctuates week after week, month after month. And finally, in July the 21st, Friday, the 21st of July, the stock is sitting at $19.95. I'm just picking that number off the top of my head. Here's the deal. Those calls that you sold, that you wrote, the 8 contracts you wrote that expired July 21, they're good at 20 bucks a share. The stock's only at $19.95. Those contracts have a zero value to them. They expire worthless at the bell Friday night. They have no value. In other words, the $1,880 you hauled in, you get to keep it all. You keep all $1,880. And those contracts evaporate and they're gone. And the person who bought them or whoever is holding those 8 contracts, they have no value. They've lost whatever they paid for them. Now, you sold them for $235 originally. But by the time July 21 rolls around with the stock moving up and down and the days going by, those contracts may have changed hands 10, 20 times. And those 8 contracts that you originally sold as a package have been fractured into singles, and they're out there. Your 8 contracts were in the pool of all the other contracts expiring July 21 with a $20 exercise price. They all expired worthless at the same time. So in theory, the person that bought them from you may have sold them at $2 and given up 35 cents. It just didn't work out. The next person that bought them at $2 may have sold them at $2.10, made 10 cents and just walked away. Or others bought them at $2 and they went down to $1. Then these guys gave up and sold them to somebody else. And at the end of it all, however many times these traded, the shares just did not go over $20, and these contracts are worthless. You, as an option writer, are sitting there going, okay, the stock's right around 20 bucks right now, and I got $1,880 in my hands because that's the premium I got paid when I wrote these things. I've had that money the whole time. I could have taken that money out of my account and paid off my Visa bill or bought other stock or whatever, but I'm up $1,880, and I still own 8 deep in the money calls. I own those 8 call options that I bought that are expiring January 2025. It's now July 2023. These are still good for a year and a half. But there's something else going on here. Wait a minute. I can buy those shares for $8 each. When I bought these 8 deep in the money calls, the stock was $16.50. The stock is now $20, $19.95. These $8 call options that I paid around $9.50 to $10 for aren't worth that anymore. They're worth more. Because if the stock is at $20 and I can buy the stock for $8, these contracts are worth $12 in book value. Plus there's about $1 additional value on them for time left over. These are going to be trading at $13 each. If I sell these 8 contracts for 13 bucks a pop, because I own them, I cleared $3 a contract. That's $300 a contract times 8 contracts. That's $2,400 I make on selling these deep in the money calls. And the $1,800 I made on the premiums, I get to keep that too. So what did I end up doing here? If I liquidate out, I walk away with $4,200 in my pocket. I made a profit of $4,200 between now and July using $8,000 to buy 8 calls and spending $2,000 to take Bruce's classes. That's the end of the trade. If I want it to be the end of the trade, I can just stop the whole thing right there. I can just get right out and I'm done. I let the contracts expire and I've sold off my deep in the money calls and I walked away. And I now have $12,200 and all that knowledge of those 14 classes, which I can rewatch anytime I want. And so now I can put $12,000 to work if I wish to onto something else. Do I want to do another GameStop option? Do I want to write something on IBM, on Apple, on Cisco, on Tesla, whatever? I have $12,000 to go shopping with. Now, if we come back to the example of just, you only have $3,000, remember? And you took the classes and you had $1,000 left over, you would have bought 1 deep in the money call you would have written one call option. You would have received $235 for that call option. It expires worthless. You keep the $235. And your $1,000 option went up to $1,300. You made a profit of $300 on it, and you made $235 on the call you wrote. Put it together, you made $535. $535 profit. That's right. So you're now sitting on $1,500, and you're going, okay, I took 1,000, turned into 1,500, and I got those classes. And so even with $1,000, you could actually do a poor man covered call writing strategy. Now, obviously, with a month to go in those contracts, back in June, if those contracts were trading at 25 to 50 cents each because they're out of the money, the stock is sitting at maybe 18 and a quarter, and the options die in the next 3.5 weeks, these contracts might be sitting at 50 cents each. You can buy them back anytime you want, either the 1 or the 8, however many you wrote. You can buy them back anytime you want at whatever they're trading for. And if you do decide that after 3 months of time, they're down to 50 cents each, you're just going to pick them off and buy them back, you'll spend $400 to buy them back. But you were paid $1,880 to sell them in the first place. So you're keeping $1,440 or $1,480 on that trade. And you're now free to write another batch of 8 contracts, because these 8 you bought back, you're flat there. You can write 8 more against those poor man covered calls you got, those deep in the money calls. You can write 8 more contracts. If you decide to write now October contracts for $20 each, you might get $235 for those. And you'll bring in $1,880 additional cash on top of the $1,400 you have. You now have $3,200 in cash in your account. You still have 8 long deep in the money calls, and now you're waiting another few months to see what these contracts do. You could be a perpetual writer forever, and it never ends. And that's how you make money writing poor man covered calls in an example like this. Obviously, if the shares don't go to $20, the poor man covered calls won't go up in value. You don't have to sell the poor man covered calls. You can carry them from now until January 2025 and just write again and write again and write again a series of contracts again and again and again. You might write 6 series of contracts, 8 at a time, 8 at a time, 8 at a time. And you pull in $1.50 every time you roll them over. You're pulling in $1,200 8 times. You're pulling in $10,000 on top of the value of those calls. If the stock is $16.50 January 2025, your calls are still worth about $850 each, because at $16.50 a share, your calls have a book value of $850, and you'll sell them. You'll lose about $150 on those calls, but you made 10 grand writing against them. You don't care. You'll turn around and now buy January 2027 $8 contracts for about $1,000 each, and you'll write on those for the next 2 years and keep doing it. You might even add more money and buy 10 or 11 or 12 of them, and now write 12 contracts at a time. You might find that as you do every rollover and you bring in $1,000 here, $1,500 here, you buy another deep in the money call and add it to your arsenal of deep in the money calls. And now you're writing, instead of 8 at a time, you're writing 9 at a time. Then you're writing 10 contracts at a time. Then a few months later, you're writing 11 at a time, and you're growing that. These are just some strategies we talk about on the air, live, every day, Monday to Friday, 8:30 in the morning. And if you go here, check out the classes to learn all the strategies we talk about with options. What I've given you is 1% of what you need to understand what's going on. The potential to make money in the option market is phenomenal. And what I'm talking about is a very conservative strategy. It's actually not all that risky per se, because the riskiest strategy is the one who buys the contracts. Whoever pays $2.35 to buy these contracts that are out of the money, have no book value whatsoever, and have a short time life, like 4 months or less, those are the gamblers. And that's what you don't want to be. Anyway, there's a quick little recap for you of a little strategy on what can you do with 10 grand? What can you do with 5? What can you do with $3,000? At the end of the day, the most important investment you're making is you're taking the classes from my website. You're understanding how to write stock options. And if you're watching classes 11 and 12 and 13 and 14, you're going to pick up information about a lot of what I just talked about here. but you need the other first 10 classes. You want to take all 14. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't keep you up too long. Thanks for joining me, and join me Monday to Friday, 8:30 in the morning. Take care, everybody. Bye for now.